We are recording. And I'm letting everybody in.
All right.
And you're good to go.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Happy Thursday, June 11th, and welcome to the Boca Chambers monthly breakfast event. Our second one that we've now conducted virtually, and I'm excited to see all the people rolling in on this Zoom event right now and joining us this morning for a pretty special breakfast. Office Depot sponsors a breakfast, as you all probably know, every year, and this is the month, and we are grateful that they have decided to convert to the times and do it virtually. And it looks like a lot of people are going to join us this morning. We've got a pretty special program with Stephen Blythe, who's the Senior Vice President of what we call the BSD, the Business Solutions Division of Office Depot, and of course, our friend Alex Price, who's the National Director of Community Investment as well. And so I'm Troy McClellan. I'm your President and CEO of the Boca Chamber. And again, welcome. What I'd like to do is to give you a little bit of ground rules here for how we're going to conduct this meeting this morning via Zoom. We are recording this event, so if you didn't have a chance to see it all or couldn't finish it, you can go back to our YouTube channel and see this event and many, many of our other virtual events and experiences that we've recorded over the past 3 months. Also, time permitting, at the end of the program, we're going to allow some time for questions and answers for both Stephen and Alex as we go through it. They're going to share a lot of great information about Office Depot and all the amazing work that Office Depot and through their community efforts are doing across the country, and of course, right here in Boca Raton. So we are thrilled to have both Stephen and Alex. We are going to hear from Stephen first, and then Alex will finish up, and then we'll have some time for questions and answers. And then I'll give some announcements, like I normally do at a breakfast, about some of our upcoming activities as well, and some of the things that's going on here at the Chamber of Commerce. So again, I want to welcome everyone. I hope that you've gotten your cup of coffee from the Keurig and you're settled into wherever you are, whether you're back in the office or whether you're still working from home. We're just excited to have you with us today. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce Stephen Blythe, as I mentioned. Stephen is the Senior Vice President of the Business Solutions Division at Office Depot. By the way, Stephen is coming to us from Southern California, so it's awful early out there for him, but he looks very awake and spry and chipper out there. So Stephen, thanks for being with us. We've shortened his bio. He's a very accomplished professional in the industry, but let me just read a couple things about Stephen. He joined Office Depot, the BSD, in February of 2020. So right just before COVID hit. So wow. And he's got a lot of responsibility: sales, business development, and product category growth in key B2B customer segments. And he leads a very large team of experienced sales associates in that division. Prior to joining Office Depot, Steve served in senior sales leadership positions for over 2 decades, including as Vice President of Sales in the Western region at Cintas Corporation. And before that, he worked in the pharmaceutical and insurance industries as a corporate trainer. He grew up in Vancouver, British Columbia. He's a San Diego State grad, and as I mentioned, lives in California, and he's coming to us from Southern California. So, Steve, thanks for getting up early. Thanks for sharing some thoughts about all the great work that Office Depot is doing today. We and many of the members on this call are very happy clients of Office Depot. So a good morning,
Thank you.
welcome, and
Good
I'll
morning.
turn the program over to you, Stephen.
Thank you, Troy. Appreciate it. Let me share my screen here with everybody. All right. Can you see that, Troy?
Yes, we're good.
All right. Yeah, it's the famous question we've been asking for the last 2.5 months. Can you see my screen?
Right.
Either that or get off mute. So one of the two. So yeah, I appreciate the time this morning. I'm looking forward to having a few moments with everybody to tell you a little bit about the Office Depot story as of today. And as Troy mentioned, just recently came over in February. Was very excited when I started to hear about the opportunities at Office Depot and in what we're looking at for the future. So it's a great time to be at Office Depot, and I made a change in my life when I never thought I was going to make a change, but sometimes great opportunities show themselves and you got to go. So let me take you through a couple slides here and just kind of bring you up to speed with Office Depot. For those of you who might not know, the Office Depot was founded in Southern Florida story, more than 30 years ago. And we're proud to be a part of Boca's dynamic business community. And I can say that honestly, because as I get into that community, I'm really excited about what I'm seeing and being a part of it and growing my relationship with the business owners in Boca. Our corporate headquarters is obviously based here. We employ thousands of local associates. In addition, we have the retail stores and supply chain facilities in the area as well that increase the amount of locals that we employ throughout Southern Florida. Let me take you to my next slide. Oops, wrong way. Now, this kind of gives you the story of, when you think of Office Depot, a lot of the times people just think of the retail stores, which is wonderful. It's our brand. It's who we've been for many, many, many years, and we're easy to find. But in 2017, we've embarked on a multi-year transformation rooted in strengthening our business-to-business business. We have a tremendous infrastructure to support businesses throughout America. And developing, this will help us develop more predictable revenue streams from a business standpoint. And it'll also give us the ability to leverage our assets to drive long-term profitable growth. We have a tremendous infrastructure to reach, as you can see from the screen, customers throughout the country. We can get to 98.5% of the businesses in America next day. And that's a tremendous competitive advantage in the marketplace because of our infrastructure and our distribution network. So, but during COVID-19, it's been interesting. During the pandemic, our strategy of becoming a B2B focused company, we've had to expand our services and products quickly, but backed by our really reliable supply chain and our distribution network, we've really accelerated this movement. Because as all of us know on the call right now, our needs for everything that Office Depot supplies is expanded more so from the business, but now to the homes and all over the place. So it's really moved us quicker in this B2B world, which we're really excited about. But these are just some statistics on the slide that you can look at. We serve right now 29 million active customers. We serve 10 million small to business, medium-sized businesses. And we have over 200,000 of the Fortune 500, and that's growing all the time, accounts throughout the country, in over 50% of the school districts throughout the country. So, we have this incredible customer base that we've developed over the years. It's going to help us expand our B2B services. Now we move forward, it's obviously been a very interesting time over the last 2.5 months in the history of Office Depot and all our businesses. But our pandemic response earlier this year, businesses across the country, as we all know, had to shut down. And simplify and streamline operations was a must to continue to move forward. We implemented many work from home programs, and we're able to continue as an essential business throughout this entire process so far. We were able to shift quickly with many of our customers that transformed from 500 to 1,000 people working in an office to all of a sudden 500 to 1,000 people working from homes with individual needs, and we were able to pivot quickly to support those customers. Thanks to the incredible commitment of our dedicated employees and associates throughout the country, our stores, our online delivery, our operations remained open during these times to provide communities and products to provide communities with products and services to help keep their businesses running. But more importantly, for most of us on the call, we can understand also to keep our students learning. It's been a very interesting time for all of us to transform into teachers at home, me included, and all of a sudden you figure out all the supplies you need at home that maybe we kind of, I don't know, took for granted for many years that, you know, we didn't need in our homes, and all of a sudden we did, and we had to turn somewhere to get it. And our stores and our local associates were there to support all these needs, and it's been fantastic to see how we've done that throughout the country. Also during this time, we developed and implemented same-day and curbside service, you can see at the bottom left, delivery out of our retail stores to meet the increasing needs of our customers. This was a really big transformation because we weren't a curbside company. And we had to quickly develop the protocols to ensure that we're keeping our associates safe and our customers safe, but at the same time supply what they needed in a timely basis. So we're really proud of what we did there, and that continues as we speak today. Now moving forward, okay, you know, we can transform and transition back to the workplace, and that's one of the things we're really focusing on right now as we fast forward to today. You know, Office Depot, along with many organizations across the country, we're spending a tremendous amount of time developing back to work solutions. And this is where we can really help probably everybody on the call today, but more importantly, business across America, you know, get prepared to get back, because there's so many questions. There's so many questions throughout every organization is, how does this happen? Then once we get back, what are we going to need? And, you know, and once we get back and we think what we know what we need, all of a sudden we get back in environment, realize, oh, we didn't think of that. And we need a supplier that we can turn to support our needs and help us prepare to get ready for business. So, you know, some of the areas that we really focus on, just going through these bullet points, is workplace facilities. You know, this is an area that is obviously got a tremendous amount of need, because the need for cleanliness is more important now than ever. So we've created a whole system from cleaning your facilities and supplies that are needed. You know, the essential supplies to run your business. You think of everything. Just look around your home office. If some of you are lucky enough to be in a small office, you look around and you think about the things that you're going to need. We have those. We have a tremendous infrastructure for tech services, not just the hardware, but the services that go behind everything. But we also have the technology and the hardware. You think of anything from a mouse to a headset to a computer. And then we have print services. And this has been a business that's been booming, because if you think about all of a sudden the signage that's needed in many facilities, you know, we've all walked into a store recently and you look down on the floor and you see those 6 feet, you know, floor stickers everywhere. You know, that's one of the things that we've pivoted and we're creating. You go to a restaurant, for instance, now, and you have a lot of menus that are not reused. And so those have to be created. So we've had an opportunity to work with many of our organizations to help develop the products they need as they go back to work. And obviously the world of furniture has changed somewhat too in the workplace. And we spent a lot of time working with our vendors, creating the solutions that we need. All of a sudden we have partitions that are up between, you know, we need more chairs, we need less chairs. You know, there's many different things that are happening within the environment, and we've been able to work with our suppliers to offer those to our customers. So many things, but, you know, I think the biggest thing we're seeing is just this demand for PPE. It's, you know, the supply chain continues to be stretched when it comes to PPE. We have the opportunity through our relationships to have many of these products available to our customers. We've had these available through the pandemic, which has been great, but at the times it's a stretch, and it's been a very interesting category for us. So that's kind of where we've been at. You know, our focus right now is getting customers ready to go back to work, and we're in position to help. We're excited about the work that we've done, and we've got to get ready to go back ourselves. So, you know, we look forward as an organization to continuing to support the Chamber in Southern Florida, the communities within Southern Florida. We are, you know, we're a big part of the community, and we're going to continue to be that way. You know, Office Depot is also helping many local communities throughout the country through strategic partnerships, donations that help families in schools impacted by the pandemic, and we'll continue to do that. And we'll continue to look for opportunities to support those who need support. So with that, I'm pleased to introduce Alex Price. Alex is our National Director of Community Investment for Office Depot. He leads the company's efforts to support the communities we operate in nationwide. And I'm excited to let Alex introduce some of the things we do throughout the country. Alex.
Steve, thank you so much. Good morning, everybody. And just very excited to join you. I hope everyone's enjoying some food as we're meeting right now. I'm going to go ahead and bring up my presentation. And I know we're all going on to our fourth month of conducting business this way, and you know it's working pretty well. But I sure miss getting together with you all, and I look forward to being able to do it in person again soon. You know, if you're like me, there's a lot of people on this call that are routine people. You like planning, you like preparation, you like kind of knowing what's ahead. And I know that I came into this year, late 2019, planning everything for 2020. I wanted to know exactly what my resources are going to be, what I was doing every month. The calendar was packed. Everything was going to work like a well-oiled machine. And for a person like me, who's wired like me, this year has certainly been an adventure. And I want to take you a little bit through that. Every year we get a chance at this breakfast, not only as Steve did, to give you a little bit of an update on our business, but now I get the honor of kind of sharing a little bit of a state of the union of what we're doing in our communities. Most importantly, in the greater Boca, South Florida region, but around the country as well. We pride ourselves, ever since our CEO, Jerry Smith, joined the company, we pride ourselves on a 5C culture. And all of these C's that you see here, these are the things that are, every meeting that we have starts out with a discussion on how we're living our 5C culture. And my team and I have the honor of sort of being one of the torchbearers for that fourth C, which is the caring part of our culture. That's internally and it's externally. And we're in our third year on this sort of adventure where me and a small but very mighty team of, as you see here, Danielle Trepic and Rochelle Kupch lead a movement at our company. And that movement is called Depot Difference. This was first unveiled, beginning of 2018, and it's a growing movement within our company to be an associate voice that doesn't sit on the sidelines. We see ourselves, the three people that you saw on screen there, as kind of almost the camp counselors of Office Depot, where we really work with our different departments, our executives, our associates of all levels, to get out there, roll up their sleeves, and be an active part of their community in a real roll up your sleeves kind of way. But this year is different in a lot of ways. And in many ways, it's important that it doesn't change. That's why I thought kind of a theme that maybe everybody could maybe relate to is this leading through the unexpected, changing our plans. And I know we've all had to change our plans. We certainly have had to, but not straying away from that purpose, whatever that purpose is. That needs to stay consistent, and that's hard with all of the upheaval and all of the distractions, but staying true to your purpose of the objectives that you wanted to accomplish in 2020, but knowing that the roadmap to get there, boy, is going to look a lot different than you thought in January. So just to tell you a little bit about Depot Difference, because it's something that we're really proud of. It's just a key part of the fabric of our company. It's really a very specific and kind of focused movement. And we planted a flag really in three areas, and we try to drive all of our attention, our time, our energies, and our resources into these three areas. And we're passionate about many things outside of these areas, but this is where we feel like Office Depot has the greatest opportunity for impact. And that starts with empowering education. Really, education's been a part of our business since our founding. And we believe that, in order to eliminate barriers to opportunity, that's got to start with education. So we do a lot in the underserved school Title I school arena to be able to pour resources and pour inspiration into our Title I schools and their leaders to help to superpower them forward, and they need all the support they can get. There's a lot of challenges in that space. Championing entrepreneurship is really, really important. Obviously, I know I'm preaching to the choir when I say that, entrepreneurship is the bedrock of our American economy, and we feel that everyone that's got a dream and wants to work hard, everyone should be able to pursue that in an equal fashion and be able to bring innovation and new businesses to their community, which can bring economic flourishing to
Hey,
their
Alex,
community.
I'm sorry,
Yes.
Taz, your screen is not sharing if you're speaking off of your PowerPoint.
Oh goodness. Okay, let me see if I can fix that here. Can you guide me to how I can do that?
Just go back down to that green button on the share. And then click on your icon, share your audio.
I think that how are we looking?
You have to put your presentation in presentation mode.
And then we'll be all set.
You should be all set, and then you just arrow through. There you go.
I'm going to go back here and thank you for that. And then that's a sign of our times. I think our technical moments like that, I couldn't have planned that, going back to the theme of our presentation. But entrepreneurship, as you see, and then strengthening communities whenever a disaster strikes, whether it be weather or public health related, really important that we mobilize to focus on that. And that's just keeping our communities strong in upheaval and during times of crisis. And as you see, we operate throughout the country, and our major markets is where we really try to plant a flag of community support. We try to everywhere, but really where we have large employment centers, and nowhere's bigger than South Florida, the greater Boca Raton, Palm Beach County, and then really the Tri-County area is where we feel like, it is our home. It's where our children go to school. It's where we were founded. We have a special relationship with this greater community, and we feel that it's really important to be pouring in our resources in a really unique and special way here in South Florida. And so we do this, we marshal resources in some very specific ways. A day of service is where we mobilize typically thousands of people to renovate schools and after school programs. Back to school, as you can imagine, is a huge time for Office Depot, and we have a program called Start Proud that is uniquely focused on back to school for Title I elementary schools. The mentorship movement, kind of behind the scenes, we've got dozens of associates that are mentoring at-risk youth and teens in this community, and then we end every year with a 2-month flurry of volunteerism and giving with our season of service. And so this is kind of, again, going into 2020, I said, hey, I've got my game plan. You probably said that with your business. Hey, I've got my game plan. I know my major initiatives. I know the things I want to tackle. I've got a plan for each. I got a budget for each. I've got metrics for each, and I want to have the best year yet. I'm sure that those words that I'm saying are they're kind of cliche because we all sort of have some version or some paraphrase of that. And this is just, back to school. This is what back to school has always looked like over the years since we've had Start Proud. As you can see, large gatherings of teachers and students and associates all gathered in auditoriums and cafeterias, giving out, thousands of backpacks and tech supplies for teachers. These are the visuals of years past. We haven't seen visuals like this in a while. Behind the scenes, our associates meeting weekly with at-risk youth and teens all throughout Palm Beach County. And these are our associates with their mentees. This happens, behind the scenes, but these are some of our mentors and mentees. I didn't mind sharing their photos. Meeting at school or at a restaurant location and mentoring them through these hard years of being a teenager. You can imagine how much harder that process is when you can't physically connect, and everything's going digital. And last year was our most, I guess, ambitious year yet, and we were so excited to go into year 3 to increase the impact metrics. I mean, we had 40,000 hours of service that doubled our first year, and we wanted to push through the 50,000 barrier. 13,000 of our associates got out there on their own time and volunteered, and had a big plan to get 2/3 of our associate base to take that step. And so really, really, like you get sometimes obsessed with the numbers and the metrics, and we should, because measurement's huge. And then before the world changed, we had certain metrics that made sense for the business as usual environment. These are the metrics from an Office Depot community standpoint that we measure our progress against. Is really how much, to what degree can we inspire our workforce to do things that they're not required to do to help others in need, to make our community stronger. And last year, some special accomplishments and recognition happened that were encouraging to us, that really was so motivating to us going into 2020, getting to be National Philanthropy Day's Company of the Year for Palm Beach County. And from a supplier standpoint, we really pride ourselves on our diverse supplier program, and the state of Florida honored us with the Humanitarian Award this past year. And these are all things that we don't do our work for these things, but it's encouraging when outside groups say, hey, you're on the right track, keep going, keep building, push it further, and extremely motivating. So the motivation factor going into 2020 couldn't have been higher. And many of you, I like this picture because big Joe Theismann fan, and you can see me and my daughters Olivia and Julia here. This here on March 4th, many of you on the webinar were at this event. This is the YMCA of South Palm Beach County's big annual event, the Inspiration Breakfast. It's hosted at Office Depot headquarters every year. It's one of our favorite things to be able to do, to partner with one of our beloved local nonprofit organizations and host this great event, usually with an A-list athlete. It would have been special anyway. This was the last event that not only me, but many of you on this webinar attended in 2020. Some of you may have kind of seen, may have been sort of, really looking at ahead of what was going on globally and saw that this was coming. Some of you, and I'll just be really candid, were more like me, and we're sort of so focused on what was happening in my own immediate world, and maybe being too much of an optimist, hoping that things would sort of work out as they have with past pandemics and not hitting our country in a way that is sometimes anticipated. This was the last event, and I look at it and I see our auditorium. Many of you are in this picture somewhere with Joe Theismann speaking. And I remember this was the first day that people weren't shaking hands, but many really thought that we were going to kind of be spared the worst of the pandemic. And I really felt like, for me, it was the next day and the days following when the world, in my mind and in my life, completely turned on a dime. And it's like there was life and business life, professional life before that day and after that day. And those look nothing alike. There's nothing similar, really, because of COVID-19. And I wish I could say that I was anticipating it like a leader should. I was probably wishing it away, if I'm really honest. And others of you were probably had more foresight and we're being more realistic and seeing it coming. For me, it happened really, really sudden. And being a person who loves my plans and loves my routine and loves the predictability of that, went through a difficult time, personally and professionally, really trying to come to terms with the changes and to come to terms with the fact that I needed to emotionally detach from my plans and strategies and metrics, that those, at least for this moment, weren't relevant anymore for 2020 and perhaps beyond that. that a pivot needed to happen, not only structurally in our programs, with how we interface and how we invest in communities, but also just in how, and my goodness, and how we conduct our personal lives. Just to pause real quick, I think about just all that's happened, prior to the beginning of March. And as we sit here this morning, I look at my life personally, and I'm sure you can reflect for a moment of just what it looked like then and what it looks like now. We did a lot during that time, my family. We actually moved houses in Boca, moved to a new Boca neighborhood. We had a child, and big kudos to Boca Community Hospital. It was an interesting time to have a child during the pandemic, but they were just fabulous. And we're so appreciative, but boy, was that a unique stressor during this time. Became homeschool. I considered myself one of the worst homeschool principals on earth. It was a huge adjustment with 3 other children at home, trying to get that arranged during this time. So many of you had to turn your dining room tables into a computer lab for 6, 7, 8, and teenagers, and it was pretty messy. And that's all outside of really taking our nationwide community investment programs, which were really predicated on bringing hundreds and sometimes thousands of people together to do transformative things. Now operating in an environment where personal connectedness was no longer safe and appropriate, and people in need in an even greater way because of the economic conditions that have followed. So, our work to support small business and our work to support communities in need and schools and teachers and Title I families only increases, but the method with which we're accustomed to doing it is no longer available. Really an interesting thing. This is what we do the first Saturday of every May. We get about 500 of our associates from the greater Boca area. This also happens in our other 15 or so major communities around the country. We come together in an all-day festival and renovate either a Title I school here in Palm Beach County, or in this case, you see last year, this is the Delray Boys and Girls Club. This is what we do. And what my team, Rochelle and Danielle and I, pride ourselves on being able to do really well. Now, can you imagine being in this environment right now? I mean, it seems almost utterly foreign. And so our day of service, which is one of probably our largest financial investment, our investment of time and planning, it's almost a half year in the making, was something that as we got closer to that May date, we realized this is no longer possible, appropriate, right to move forward. But we had, just to let you know, at the very beginning of the year, we had made these commitments to after school programs and Title I schools throughout the country, formed partnerships with the principals of these selected schools all over the country, that we would do a full makeover of their school. And boy, they were excited, we were excited. It's like our annual company picnic. It's our version of the company picnic. And as we got closer and closer, we couldn't deny the fact that the pandemic was not going away. In fact, it was worsening at the time. And we needed to keep our commitments, because one of those C's that you saw in our 5C culture, that's a commitment culture. We made major commitments to these teaching staffs and these principals and these schools, and of course their families. But we couldn't do what we promised that we would do and what we had hoped to do. And so we needed to transform that program. And we had to do it, on a dime in a matter of days. And I want to share with you kind of what we ended up doing. And we did it in conjunction with the National PTA, who's a great partner of ours, and said, hey, all of these schools are so deserving. Their teachers are going through the hardest moment of their career, and they're doing it in a Title I environment where parental participation is a struggle because of economic conditions. They have it the hardest at the hardest time. What can we do? And it said, it turns out that May, the first week of May, is National Teacher Appreciation Week. These teachers are going to have a challenge teaching from home, and when they come back, it's going to be another sort of challenge. Grants to support these teaching staffs and to appreciate them and to set them up for success in their new normal is actually more important than a makeover at this point. And so we set out with a new grant program that we stood up right away with these schools and with these principals, and we invested in these principals and their staffs with $20,000 teacher appreciation grants. And the thing we love about our jobs, I'm sure you have things that you love about your job that you just can't do. And most of us that take part in chamber events are uniquely people. We're a lot of us are extroverts. We love connecting with our friends and our coworkers and our partners and our fellow business leaders. And we said, we got to at least get face to face with them. We got to share this news. We got to hear the stories of how they'll be able to put these grants to work to provide that support to their principals. And so we're able to connect and have these virtual check presentations, which in a way were almost therapy to us to be able to connect out with our communities and these incredible education leaders throughout the country. Some of the people you'll even recognize, so there's a lot of South Florida faces that you'll see here. The next slide is actually a video that will just show a little bit of how we really in a matter of less than a week transformed our greatest, most ambitious annual initiative into a COVID-19 relief program for education across the country. One of our most beloved traditions at Office Depot is Depot Day of Service. We get thousands of our associates to revitalize schools and boys and girls clubs.
We've had a huge shift with the disruption of COVID-19.
Office Depot has come together to donate over $300,000 to nearly 30 charitable organizations, school districts.
We donated to the Red Cross, food banks, organizations that help those that are most vulnerable.
Using funding for the homeowners that have lost their jobs. They have no way to pay their mortgage.
Going into the school districts to extend the ability to have technology at home for families who typically don't have that capability. Title I school teachers to be able to teach from home. Our partners are not in it for anything more than the mission, and we're helping to further that mission.
We wanted to donate to you all a $20,000 teacher support grant.
Yay! We're getting on the phone and on video conference and hearing firsthand what they're able to do with the dollars.
Oh my gosh, the reactions of those that we donated to were amazing.
Thank you. Awesome sauce. This is amazing.
They were so grateful.
It's just pure emotion. We're seeing tears, smiles that you'll never forget.
This absolutely, hands down, shows and proves that we are a caring culture.
We are a caring organization with caring associates.
I think that's something that they will not forget, and our associates can be real proud that Office Depot has stepped up big when they've been needed most. So it was a special experience, and here locally we adopted a school that I imagine is just a few miles away from you. So Village Academy in Delray Beach, which is actually a K through 12 school, Title I, serves hundreds and hundreds of students locally and their families. It's really almost a community center. Nonprofits are run out of that facility, and they meet so many needs. And their teaching staff, as you can imagine, K through 12, has such a breadth of needs. And doing this remotely, we thought that teacher support grant couldn't have been better invested than in Village Academy, just right here. I know, down the road for us and near and dear to our hearts. But that was just the beginning of the crisis, and our pivot and our really throwing out the playbook of the entire year happened, around that time. And we are fortunate in this community, the greater Boca Raton community, to have just incredible education leaders. As we all know, that Boca is in Palm Beach County, which is the 10th largest school district in the nation. It's just a huge urban school district. You probably saw Dr. Fenoy. He was on MSNBC this weekend. I mean, what's happening down here really, really matters, and on a national level. So there's such a huge divide from an education standpoint. That digital divide, which has always kind of been known, was the brightest spotlight of all time was shown on the digital divide between those in a good economic situation and those who are not. And of course, those that were on the line, that were probably working families that were doing good, because of the uniqueness of this crisis and how fast it happened, so many working families became in poverty, and so quickly because of the suddenness of this. And so the school district and associated nonprofits, the one I really want to talk about here is our Education Foundation of Palm Beach County, which is really, perhaps, our most seminal of all partners, and their leader, James Gavrlos, who many of you know, stepped into action. And I feel like, got a text from James within days of all this coming to life, and knowing that that Teach from Home and Learn from Home was about to happen. It was about to happen instantly at the 10th largest school district, and there was going to be hundreds and thousands of families that weren't connected to the internet with internet-enabled devices and associated supplies that they would need, every barrier imaginable and on a large scale. And so he said, hey, what can we do? And we got together also with friends from FPL and Comcast and other organizations, and really formed in a really quick way this kind of coalition to put together a device drive and a more robust initiative to connect the unconnected. All of our Palm Beach County stores immediately became drop-off locations for devices that the school district I think had a list of 5 or 6 devices that were compatible with their learning platforms. And so gently used devices by the hundreds were dropped off at our locations for a couple of weeks. An associated fundraising campaign took place, and thousands more dollars poured in, tens of thousands actually. And so while the need was so great, we were able to come together under the leadership of the Ed Foundation, move quickly. All organizations really just kind of, eliminated their bureaucracy, worked fast, kind of like startups, and put up this program that was able to collect, re-image, and distribute within a matter of weeks, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of devices that got so many families up and running on, with their Zoom meetings with their teachers, and to be able to run all the districts' learning platforms and programs. Was it perfect? Boy, nothing is perfect, and we've learned that in this environment. But it was really, really inspiring to be part of that quick maneuvering, because speed was key. Every week counts, and the learning losses we know during these times can be prevalent, far more so in impoverished and in communities in need. And so we were really proud of this initiative, and we just got great leaders on in the education space and our greater community. And I think we can all be very, very grateful for that. And we also have great friends just south of us in Broward County. And our friends in Broward County School District and their Ed Foundation caught wind of what was happening in Palm Beach County and said, hey, our unique need wasn't the students. They had some existing ways of getting students laptops and tablets. And so, but their needs were actually on the teacher side. They saw a unique need where their teaching staff, remember they're, I think, the 5th or 6th largest school district in the nation, so another huge district, and these teachers having to pivot on a dime, become, virtual teachers, and not having the equipment, not having the setup, not having the ability to set themselves up at home for success, to be able to really effectively do their job. And so we work with the Ed Foundation in Broward County to set up an entirely different program, a virtual teaching supply grant program, where we helped them raise money. We contributed and we helped them raise money, and then we sourced at the most preferable cost all the ideal Teach from Home equipment, the cameras, the headphones, the green screens, all the tech that you would need. And we're still at this. No one knows what the next school year will exactly look like. I know that's all being worked out right now, but the anticipation of not wanting our teachers to have to be taken off by surprise. We want them all to be set up for success if teach from home becomes a new normal for a while, or if it has to be turned on mid-year. And so we're working with them still to get as many Broward County teachers set up to be able to really be effective teachers remotely. And so big undertaking with districts like these. But so, you know, we think it's really neat to be in Boca and to be kind of strategically in a spot where two of the biggest school districts, urban districts in the nation are in our north and our south. And we can, you know, just right here mobilize and be able to touch and help just a great number of people just because of the proximity of, you know, where we're headquartered in Boca. Oh, and I should say, it was really neat to see districts throughout the state then took note. Brevard County, Miami, and others have been in touch. And so these initiatives, we've got similar initiatives now happening throughout the state of Florida just because of the word of mouth. And many of these education leaders, as you can imagine, collaborate and talk. And so we're really grateful for that. It's been, it's not at all what we thought these last few months would look like, but it's been a labor of love, and it's been remarkable to see how people instantly roll up their sleeves, change what they're doing, and sort of can act like a nimble startup when needed. So I want to share with you a little bit of news here. This is, we've got a lot of things coming. And if we were to have this webinar, say a month from now, 2 months from now, there'd be so much more to share. We've got a lot of things that we're formulating right now that we're really excited about deploying into the community, things that we never would have imagined doing in January, February, or early March. This is one of them. I was really grateful. We've got a great CEO in Jerry Smith, and he came to us, you know, during the pandemic and said, hey, we've got to do more. He challenged our team to think through what if we were going to address an issue that's going to be really prevalent in the coming months, that we're uniquely suited and equipped to address. What is that going to be? And my team and I brainstormed. We talked with other colleagues in the greater community and said, hey, came back to him and said, hey, the summer slide, something we all know about, that's an issue for all children. It's greatly exacerbated when it's an economically challenged situation, is going to be magnified on a level that we've never seen before due to the pandemic. And there's organizations out there in all communities across the nation, but in a special way in the greater Boca and Palm Beach County community, that are going to be tasked with addressing this with every possible challenge that you can imagine. And they're going to need more resources to do it because they're going to have to do it with social distancing guidelines. And they're going to have to do it, you know, probably bringing in, staffing up in ways to have, you know, greater ratios, and doing this in an environment where they couldn't host their spring fundraising events, right? So they're at a deficit there, and said, hey, what if we did something to slow the summer slide and had a grant program that was really targeted, really specific, came alongside some of the great organizations and really said, hey, we want to invest in your summer programs and programs that are going to be, you know, taking place throughout the early part of the fall that are going to uniquely address that issue, to increase capacity, if you will, for organizations that are meeting that need. And I got to tell you, that need, it was really a hypothesis that we had, that we've tested it now, just speaking with so many principals and education leaders and Boys and Girls Club directors and YMCA CEOs. We don't know what school is going to look like in August. One thing we do know is that children are going to come in and very few of them are going to be on grade level in the same way that they have in the past. And that is a reality, but we can mitigate and we can come together and do all that we can to set our children up for the most success and to help to chip away at some of those learning and instructional deficits. And so starting really this week, another $200,000 worth of community investment is being unleashed by Office Depot. 21 beneficiaries in 20 communities across the country. And in a special way, in our greater community, you can see, you know, the YMCA of Palm Beach County, our United Way. We have one of the great junior achievements that services South Palm Beach County. Our very own Golden Bell Education Foundation. You know, we were so proud. And in fact, my boss and my leader, Zoe Maloney, sits on the board of the Education Foundation. We're very proud to work with them more and to invest in the Education Foundation more. Our Boys and Girls Clubs, north and south of us, Palm Beach County and Broward, and in our other 15 major markets because of the programs that they run. And then Path to College, based in Lake Worth, is this incredible nonprofit that's working with at-risk teens to get them to beat the odds. And the summer programming, so you can imagine, leading into one's junior and senior year is just critical. Every month counts. And so pouring into the resources for remote training, remote programming, remote tutoring, remote study prep, test prep is going to be great. So these are just some of our local partners that are part of that Slowing the Summer Slide program. It's one of those kind of things where, you know, I've always known that that's a problem. I'm seeing it at home with my own children. But needing to become an expert on an issue on a dime is something that you've probably had to do in some area of pivoting your business. And so it's kind of part of our environment, you know, part of our business, as Steve was talking about, a major part is PPE now. That was not a part of our portfolio or part of, you know, what we offered to customers. Now becoming absolute experts on a whole new category. And so that's, I'm sure, a commonality that we all share. This is one that we're going through right now, is really just becoming as steeped as possible and a community issue so that we can invest in addressing it in a really sort of accurate and targeted way. And so you'll be seeing more about this in the coming weeks. But I want to talk about looking ahead. And you know, it's one of those things where we don't know what the summer and fall are going to look like. We don't know what 2021 is going to look like. We can do all that we can as leaders. And boy, do we need, and I'll just say, boy, we've never needed, you know, bold and fearless leaders in business and in community like we do now. So thank you all. You're all engaged community members. You wouldn't be on this webinar if you weren't. And so more is being asked of you and us than ever before. So we've got to prepare as best we can. And so just some things that we're looking at that we are preparing for, that we acknowledge that we don't know everything, but we're trying to learn all that we can and trying to create programs, change existing programs, start new programs that are going to address new and changing issues. Back to school, as I said at the beginning, it's the big kind of, I don't know, it's the most action-packed time for Office Depot, the history of our company, and there's a playbook, and we know how to do it well. Well, nobody knows exactly what back to school looks like. It may vary district to district, state to state, and so we're navigating what our Start Proud program looks like in the age of COVID-19, in the age of social distancing, when you know, when coming together and 1,000 students, teachers, and associates in an auditorium is no longer something you can do. How do you deploy resources? How do you inspire? How do you supercharge a school that really needs it, given all of the guardrails and particulars of this time? And we're working, again, right now with 20 major school districts who are all figuring out what that looks like in real time so that we can do this and set up these schools for success in August or in September or whenever these schools reopen. And they don't know the answer to that question either. So of course, we're planning many different scenarios depending on what that looks like. Eliminating racial inequities. You know, the last 3 weeks have been heavy for us all. and we're all sort of wrestling with that and dealing with that in our own ways. But there's a lot of pain and there's a lot of need out there in our communities. And this was something that, while it shouldn't surprise any of us, I mean, none of these issues are new, but a spotlight has been shown on them in a way that generations. And so, big question is, what's the business community's role in that? And so we've taken an approach to say we want to be thoughtful in that. We want to step back and give that the utmost consideration and thought, and discussions are happening. And there'll be some neat things to share in the somewhat near future on this. But wanted just to acknowledge that that we're going through that with you, and we are taking a thoughtful and measured and really doing our homework to say, okay, how does Office Depot be a difference maker in this world, given what's going on in the environment? So that's on our heart in a huge way, and again, more to come there. But there's also some fun new things that are coming online. At the very end of this month, beginning of next month, all 1,300 of our stores are going to come to life with customer philanthropy. So many of the things that you experience at some of your favorite retailers at the point of sale, raising money for different causes. When you go to Walgreens, it might be a health cause. When you go to Publix, it might be a hunger relief cause. And so now when you go to an Office Depot and you make a purchase of any kind, I think starting in 2 weeks, every store will be raising funds for a very nearby Title I school. And so at the end of each quarter, those funds will accumulate, and that school staff will be invited for a free teaching supply shopping spree. We think that'll be not only just a wonderful way to engage each 1,300 stores and their staffs in their local community. It's going to be a great way to deploy resources to galvanize our spheres of influence, our customers, to come alongside us to invest in that Title I school space. And we think it'll be a lot of fun as well. And there's so many other unknowns. And I just, want to pause there and just say, if we thought we knew what 2020 was going to be like, I think we've all been humbled in the last few months. And that if you got it right, you were a great guesser, because there was no way of knowing. We're going through it's a three-pronged crisis. We've got an economic downturn situation that we hope is alleviated soon. We've got a global public health crisis, and we've got racial upheaval on a level we've not seen in so long. And all these things are coming together, and we're figuring out as business leaders how to navigate that. We're not in this alone. We've got this great network here in Boca Raton as a business community. Let's lean on each other. Let's share best practices. Let's share what's working and what's not. And I just want to urge and encourage everyone not to make these big decisions without utilizing the network of this chamber, because no one's challenges are completely unique. We're all going through some version of it. So lean on, email, call, members of this body, and lean on us. If there's anything that we've shared here, whether it was Steve or me, that rings true or that has some relevance in your space, we just ask you to reach out. We won't have all the answers, but we really want to wrestle with these issues with you and explore what's best, because what we know is the business community can be a huge part of the education solutions, of the inequity solutions, and responding to disasters. I mean, we mobilize, we all have resources, we all have assets at our disposal. So I encourage you to explore how you can use yours to address some of these. And with that, it's been a real honor to be able to share what we're doing in the community and how we've changed over these last few months. And look forward to seeing you all out in the community at some time once that's allowed. And in the meantime, we'll look forward to connecting every month in this forum. Thank you very much.
Alex, thank you very much for that. That is, in a time, as you mentioned, where we're still kind of getting through it and struggling through it and figuring it out both professionally and personally. This is just awesome information for all of us to hear. Office Depot truly is making a difference every day. You have demonstrated that very largely through your presentation this morning. We thank you for that. We, and I speak on behalf of the community at large, the business community, we can't do it without you. As you know, we're just extremely proud that your global headquarters is in Boca Raton. And we love that, and we get to tout that, and that you're part of a long list of very impressive corporate headquarters in our community. We're very, very blessed to have that dynamic here in Boca Raton and South Palm Beach County. To further demonstrate your commitment to education, I do want to recognize the summer slide program, and we're so grateful to be a part of that. And you did mention that your Executive Vice President and Chief Human Resources, Zoe Maloney, serves on the board of Golden Bell. Your Executive Vice President and Chief Information Officer, Todd Hale, serves on the Chamber's Executive Committee and Board of Directors. And we get to interact with you, of course, often, but so many members of your team. And we thank the entire OD team for all that they do and how they impact our community, business community, and community at large in so many ways. We're just so blessed to have you here, and then to hear you put it in the perspective that you've done broadly. It's just amazing. And you've continued to do this throughout these very unique times during this virus. And, we've all changed. And again, we're all experts at what we're doing here this morning. But we can't thank you enough on behalf of the entire community for what you do, for sure.
Thank you, Troy. We're grateful for you and your leadership. Thank you.
And of course, your support of our entrepreneurial program as well. I know your CEO, Jerry Smith, is supportive of that. So it just goes on and on and on. I think we could probably talk back and forth to each other. We're one of many recipients of your generosity and philanthropic efforts. But your program, your community support and outreach program is truly a model for organizations to follow. So thank you very much for that. And Steve, thank you for joining us this morning. We look forward to continuing to see Office Depot's pivot and enhancement in the B2B space and how that looks going forward. Again, just amazing information that you all have shared. I'm just going to make a couple of announcements, if I might. And if you're still on the call, Office Depot has a $100 gift card that in a few minutes someone on the call will be eligible for. But I do want to just mention a couple, as I do during normal breakfast, mention a couple of other upcoming events, virtual events. We've all become experts at this virtual space. The Chamber has put on hundreds of virtual experiences and had thousands of participants join us since we made the quick pivot to this to continue to connect all of our members with each other and to important information. And so just a few upcoming ones I think will be of interest, and there are many more that I'm going to mention, but just to highlight, as you all know on the call, every Thursday I mention that every second Thursday there's a chamber breakfast, and every second Thursday there's a government affairs committee meeting, and all our committee meetings are still moving forward virtually. And today we're having one at 11:30, and the city's development service director, Brandon Shadd's going to be our speaker. And then we think that's important. He can talk about how development is still moving forward, during this time of COVID-19. Tomorrow, another, I think, program of interest, Sal Saldana, the general manager of Town Center Mall and a board member of the Boca Chamber, will be speaking and putting on a webinar about what's going on in the mall. The mall is open, and Sal's got a lot of information to share as well. And then we get into next week with elections looming. One thing that hasn't stopped, at least here, are elections. It's unbelievable to think that tomorrow is the filing deadline for our upcoming primary and general elections, which are really close. There's a whole bunch of primary elections and constitutional office elections in August. That's around the corner. So we have next week on Tuesday, June 16th, our supervisor of elections, Wendy Sartori-Link, will do a virtual program. That's at 3 o'clock. We hope you'll join that. And then let's get back to the education space. Dr. Ava Parker, who's just been amazing through all of this for all of us, is going to speak at our Successful Women in Business program. This is the one time you gentlemen might be able to sneak into a Successful Women in Business program because it's virtual. So if you come in anonymously, we won't really know. But Dr. Parker is dynamic, fantastic, and that's going to be on June 18th at 12 noon. And then I'll end with our what we call our Live After 5. We're still having our networking events. We still need that that release, if you will, and those have been going really well monthly. That's going to be on Tuesday, June 23rd at 5 o'clock, and we keep it to an hour so we don't disrupt any family cooking dinner plans and things like that. Also, we are moving forward with the Chamber's annual magazine. Of course, Office Depot always participates in that as well, but we will do that. Bruce Klein is still going to be calling you and reaching out to participate and engage with us in that magazine. And then I'll throw this little teaser out for the golfers. We are going to have our golf tournament. It's going to be at the end of July. We would have already golfed last week, I think, if I'm looking at the dates right. We're going to move forward. More information to come, but if you're ready to get out and golf, please be on the lookout for some of our information. I do send out a CEO message every Tuesday and Friday. We include a lot of information in that. I hope it's helpful. Please continue to communicate with us to see how we can help you. Palm Beach County is waiting to hear from the governor to see if we can move into phase 2. Governor DeSantis is being safe and smart and step-by-step with his plan, watching the numbers, watching the data. We're supportive of his strategy. The business community is eager to continue to, ignite the economy so we can continue to move business forward, but we're going to do it. We're going to do it safely. And so, again, thanks to everyone who's joined us. Steve, thanks for coming to us from Southern California. Alex, always awesome to see you. I guess we can now see each other at the Y now that the Y is open.
I'll see you there.
Gosh knows I need to get back to the Y. But again, thank you so much to everybody. Be safe out there, and we'll see you very soon.
You got to do the door prize. Don't forget.
What's that? Oh,
Door prize.
All right, so we're going to, Chassie's going to spin the wheel of fortune here, and then it's going to land on somebody's name. This is great. Technology is great. Everybody can see it. We're clicking to spin. Here we go. Someone's going to win a $100 gift card from Office Depot. All right, here we go. Raj! Raj Kodesh wins. Well done, Raj. All right, so Raj, you'll communicate with Chastity. We'll communicate with Alex, and we'll make sure you get your $100 gift card from Office Depot. Again, Office Depot,
Raj.
Alex, thanks for everything, guys. Have a great rest of the day. Stay safe.